The prosecution and defense presented their arguments in the crimes against humanity case against former President Rodrigo Duterte during last week's confirmation of charges hearing over at the ICC. Here is a recap of the key points from those proceedings.
The confirmation of charges hearing against former President Rodrigo Duterte concluded on February 27th before the pretrial Chamber 1 of the International Criminal Court. Defense lawyer Nicholas Kaufman argued that Duterte's statements alone are insufficient to convict him of crimes against humanity.
Mr. Duterte's speeches alone are totally insufficient to substantiate the charges against him. If Rodrigo Duterte is to be faulted for anything, it is for his inappropriate choice of language. But he murdered no one.
He also highlighted the alleged lack of evidence that many of those killed during the drug war were minors.
I would like to remind the learned representative for the victims that he is not a mini prosecutor, and to regale the pre-trial chamber with unsupported allegations that many children lost their lives is utterly inappropriate.
Kaufman stressed that there is no evidence linking Duterte to the killing of Albuera Leyte Mayor Rolando Espinosa, noting that the witness did not directly see the crime and only reported hearing gunfire. He added that police reports do not corroborate the allegation. The prosecution countered Kaufman's claims, saying discrepancies in police reports are not unusual, particularly if Duterte had multiple co-perpetrators.
Mr. Duterte, as we made clear in our presentation, moved co-perpetrators from Davao to Manila and appointed them to high positions. So when he appoints the chief of police, and part of the chief of police's job is to kill thousands of people, it's not a surprise that the police reports don't reflect that.
They also responded to Kaufman's argument regarding alleged gaps in investigating drug-related killings during the term of President Bongbong Marcos.
Well, his client prevented all that by withdrawing the Philippines from the Rome Statute when he thought he might be prosecuted, thereby ensuring that we would not have jurisdiction after a certain period.
In his closing statement, Kaufman maintained that Duterte is innocent and should be allowed to return to the Philippines.
There is absolutely nothing to directly link Rodrigo Duterte to the 78 deaths alleged. I ask you to let Rodrigo Duterte return to the Philippines, not to govern, but simply to let him live out the rest of his days in peace.
The prosecution, however, questioned how an innocent person could publicly admit to killings.
What innocent person has ever said, assuming I committed all these murders, it was for a really good reason? It's obvious what he's talking about. He's talking about the murders. He wants to be remembered for them. Decades of murdering his own people.
Duterte's lawyer and former presidential legal counsel Salvador Panelo expressed confidence that Kaufman successfully rebutted the prosecution's allegations.
As I've already said, he has rebutted all the allegations of the prosecution, and in fact, bagsak na nga eh.
For his part, former Labor Secretary Silvestre Bello III criticized the evidence presented by the prosecution as weak.
The presentation of the prosecution are mere allegation without any supporting evidence. Yun ang importante. Ang dali magsabi, pinatay mo siya. Pero anong proof mo?
For human rights lawyer Nery Colmenares, the prosecution had presented strong arguments.
The fact that he resorted, para sa akin, to blaming the rogue cops just to save his client shows na hirap siyang i-shatter talaga yung ebidensya ng prosecution na in the end, pinagkanulo niya na ang mga pulis
parang may
na
paglalaglag.
Nilaglag talaga ni President Duterte.
Colmenares noted that Duterte's defense seemed designed to elicit sympathy, pointing to Kaufman's closing statements that highlighted the former president's age and urged his release.
The moment na nag-a-appeal ka na lang sa emotion at hindi sa awa, may problema ka ng malaki. If you are weak on the evidence and the law, you focus on emotions.
After 4 days of hearings, the judges now have 60 days to review the evidence. They may reach one of three possible decisions. First, The charges of crimes against humanity are confirmed and the case proceeds to trial. Second, the charges are not confirmed, potentially leading to Duterte's release from ICC custody. Third, the prosecution may be ordered to submit additional evidence to conduct further investigations or to amend the case.